What is up, you guys? In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to get your street car ready for winter. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share my tips with you guys to get your car and yourself through the winter season. Now, this isn't your standard winter car prep video. This is a video for enthusiasts like myself with modified cars, okay? So these tips and tricks are going to be a little bit different. Now, if you live in an area that gets snow, sleet, or ice, snow tires are gonna be your best bet. These things are a lot different than all season or even all weather tires. These are gonna make a big difference. By the way, if you guys don't have one of these wheel saver sockets, you gotta get one. You'll never damage your wheel with the socket again. And getting a set of separate wheels for the winter with snow tires is a great excuse to protect your nice summer wheels anyways. If you don't have snow tires, at least measure the depth of the tread on your current tires. You're gonna want at least 4/32 of tread, otherwise you're gonna be sliding all over the place, and it's probably a good idea to upgrade your tires anyways. Now, while you've got your wheels off, it's the perfect time to clean up your suspension, especially if you have adjustable coilovers. Now, I'm just wiping mine down with some soapy water to keep that dirt and grime off of these things. Now, I have BC Racing coilovers, which means they're adjustable. I love these things. I put them on about a year ago, and they've been great. So I'm actually gonna use this opportunity to raise them up a little bit. With the winter months here, there's big ice chunks on the ground, and if it snows, I don't wanna bottom out, so I'm gonna take full advantage of having coilovers and raise them up. I'm not gonna go too crazy because I still wanna look good, but to keep them lubricated, I spray them down with a little PB blaster after wiping them down. This is gonna keep those lock collars sliding smoothly on the threads for many years to come. When you spend over $1,000 on suspension, you wanna make sure it lasts, so it's key to take care of these things, because if you don't and you live in a winter state, your coilovers are gonna corrode and you won't be able to adjust them. Ask me how I know. Back in the day, I had a 1996 Miata with some cheap coilovers on it, and whoever owned it before me never cleaned them, because when I tried to adjust them, everything was so seized that I had to get rid of the coilovers and put some crappy Racelands on. So with these, I really want to preserve them. You also can buy some coilover sleeves. I'll put the link down in the description for those. I've heard of them before. I've never personally used them, but my buddy Gels just made a video and he reminded me about these things. Basically, it's a sock that goes over the coilover, which is especially helpful to keep road, dirt, grime, and salt off of these things all season long. Now, I do want to give a quick shout out to the 4 people who are subscribed on my Patreon account. This is a monthly thing where you guys can subscribe and donate. It helps me keep the lights on, and it gives you guys a peek behind the scenes at what's going on when I'm not uploading videos. It's also important that you grease up your hub. I know it seems a little bit odd, but before you put your wheels back on, I recommend putting some grease on your rotor hat, and if you've got spacers, make sure to put another layer of grease on those too. Now, this is going to prevent your wheel from seizing on the hub, which I've had to deal with before, and you end up just having to kick your wheel and tire off, which, you know, you don't want to damage your wheel, and it just sucks. It's way easier when it just pops right off. Now, let's go ahead and get these snow tires on the car. For those of you wondering, these are some Allzor wheels from ECS Tuning. I've ran them for many years. They're very affordable, and I think they look pretty good. And they're wrapped in General Ultimax Arctic snow tires. To me, these are the best snow tires you can buy. I've tried them all. Oddly enough, these are one of the more affordable options, but they don't come in big sizes. So that's why I've got 17s here, because I wanted to run these tires. Now, this isn't a ton of ground clearance, but you still gotta look good in winter, right? And a little side note, if you've got a front lip, this is the perfect time to take it off before you demolish this thing. Now, this one's gonna make me feel a little bit old, but make sure you have the necessities in your car. And I'm not just talking about the Beamer Street hoodie from BeamerStreet.com that you should have in your trunk to keep warm. I'm talking about that weird tow hook that you should have in your trunk. Make sure you have it. I've actually had to use it many times because I love rear wheel drive, and in the winter I've definitely ditched my cars a few times and had to use it to pull it out. In addition to that, I carry what I consider an enthusiast essentials kit. This includes zip ties, duct tape, scissors or snips, pliers, and a full traveling toolkit. I've also got ratchet straps, toe straps, hat and gloves, a blanket, flashlight, jumper cables, and an ice scraper. It's a lot, but I'm telling you, once you have this kit put together, you can transfer it from any car to one another. So it's nice to just have this for insurance in case you need it. And you could go even crazier if you also wanted to add an emergency kit and a collapsible shovel. The next thing you have to do if you care about your car is get some all-weather floor mats. I finally pulled the trigger on some WeatherTech floor mats last year, and now I cannot imagine going through winter without these things. They're a nice hard plastic that keeps everything contained. You don't have to worry about dirtying up your nice carpets. And the best part about these things is you can just pull them out, hose them off, and put them back in. Next up, it's time to check your fluids. So I always like to make sure my coolant's topped off in the winter. I popped the hood open and checked this and found my level was actually a little bit low. So I went ahead and stole some of the coolant that I just drained out of my 135 after pulling the engine and topped it off with coolant. And you'll see that indicator popped back up and poked out through the top, which means it's now full. Now this one's for the BMW guys. If you pop off your oil cap and see a bunch of weird yellow buildup, that's condensation, and it means you're probably not driving your car for long distances or letting it get warmed up. I saw this when I first bought my BMW and I was freaked out, but apparently it's nothing to worry about. Just take it for a nice long drive, let it get warmed up, and that should burn right out of there. Oh, and make sure you top off your washer fluid and use the stuff that's rated for cold temperatures. Oddly enough, when I bought this car from Texas and came up to Wisconsin, whatever they had in it for washer fluid was not rated for freezing temperatures. As soon as the weather got cold, the fluid froze in all the lines and it ended up drying out the pump. I never could get anything to spray. I had to bring it in, let it thaw out, replace the washer pump, fill it up with new fluid. So if I were you, I would just throw some washer fluid that's rated for cold weather so that it can dilute whatever is in there and try to keep things from freezing. I always recommend checking your wiper blades. Winter is a perfect time to replace these things, especially if they're already cracked and worn. These things often just get used and abused, so I actually recommend replacing them with winter-specific wipers. Usually they're even a little bit cheaper than normal ones, and they work just fine in the summer. Now I did just replace my wipers, so I'm not going to swap them out this time, but it's definitely something I recommend doing if possible. Next up, you really should check your battery. Lucky for us BMW owners, they're tucked away in the trunk, which keeps them hidden from the elements and usually in good shape. If yours is under the hood, check those terminals for corrosion. You really want to prevent that corrosion buildup. And while you're looking at it, see if you can find a date sticker. Make sure your battery's not more than 4 years old. If it is, just be prepared that it could kick the bucket any year. I'd rather replace the battery when I know it's getting old or if I've been dealing with some long cranks when trying to start the car, because if it kicks the bucket when you're not prepared for it, that means you're replacing it at the car's convenience. So I'd rather do it at my convenience, being able to pull it into a garage nice and warm and do things on my time rather than if the car's stuck on the side of the road. And that goes with any maintenance. If your car is needing something, you're better off replacing it before the winter season, because if it takes a crap, now you're stuck in the freezing cold having to deal with whatever that issue is. Now this is an easy one, but I always recommend doing a light check in winter because it's always freaking dark out in winter and it sucks. So hopping in the car, setting up a camera if you don't have a friend around, and just going through all the taillights, the brake functions, the blinkers, the headlights, the high beams, the fog lights, making sure your car is lighting up the road in front of and behind you. And if you want to splurge a little bit, this could be a good time to upgrade to LEDs since you'll be doing a lot of driving while it's dark out. Some people will tell you to put sandbags or cat litter in the trunk. Screw that. With snow tires, I'm able to swing the back end out controllably. So I actually look forward to snowfalls so I can slide around town without burning up the tires. And now you should be ready for all the snow that winter can throw at you. You've got your street car set up to take on the winter season. If you enjoyed this video, remember all the links are down in the description below for everything I talked about today. And don't forget to like this video, comment down below, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.